Pentagon's secret UFO data retrieval program, Immaculate Constellation, revealed for first time in new whistleblower report. So the crazy thing about this is these are called USAPs. What is the Unacknowledged Special Access Program? Literally defined as a program in which, here's what it says. In this article from the January 2000 issue of National Security Magazine, they say, confronted with the unauthorized use of a program name or a specific question, an accessed individual may deny all knowledge of a program, as he should, because its existence is a core secret, and a mere no comment is tantamount to confirmation. The questioner, who may not be aware that an accessed individual must respond with a denial, will believe that denial and spread it further. This is outright them saying, these are whistleblowers. The government has programs where they intentionally will lie to the press and claim these things aren't true. And then the media will then go around saying, we talked to the government, none of this is true. And that is the intention. In this program, it's pretty crazy. They're basically saying UAPs are a known problem. Unidentified aerial phenomena are a known problem. One of the stories they tell, look at this. The alleged leaked classified report to Congress described an incident in which a swarm of orb UFOs surrounded an F-22 stealth Raptor, forcing it off course. The F-22 broke trajectory and attempted to evade, according to the alleged report, but was intercepted and boxed in by approximately 3 to 6 UAPs. One UAP maneuvered in proximity to the area directly starboard the cockpit, as the whistleblower's report described the pilot's testimony. There, the UAP established a rigid spatial relationship with the F-22, maintaining its exact position and orientation parallel with the F-22's cockpit despite multiple evasive rolls and maneuvers. Could you imagine that? You're flying, an orb locks in, and no matter what you do, the orb just stays exactly in the same spot. You roll, and it stays and rolls locked in that position.
And the most maneuverable plane that the United States has, too.
Yo.
I think they're locking onto it with lasers or some sort of radiation beams. They're locking onto the airplane, and it's creating the distortion field around the airplane of these orbs that they can move around, and they're just kind of...
I'm just going to believe whatever he says because he's wearing that top, and he just seems like he knows what he's talking about.
I didn't know we were going to go this deep tonight, but, I'm always ready.
Yeah,
we should have Ashton Forbes back on the show. Has he been on the show yet? He was looking at that Malaysian flight that just disappeared,
right?
And there's like orbs in the video, and he's got all this...
That's hectic, that story. I can't believe I never found that.
When it comes to these orbs, I think that they're plasma phenomenon. They might be drones, but having it locked on like that to the plane makes me think that it's plasma.
The whistleblower claims to have authored the report to Congress, described the Immaculate Constellation USAP as a strategic intelligence program, and only one part of how the U.S. military currently deals with its UAP problem. Maybe it's what? China has got some kind of new weapon we don't know about, and they're harassing our...
To me, that's more likely.
Right? Then what? Aliens?
Then aliens.
But no one's saying aliens here. UAP just means unidentified.
Yeah, I know, but...
Or it could be a corporation.
I think people, when they watch it, when they look at an article like that, they just assume it.
Like a dark corporation that no one knows exists.
The Zionists.
Everybody knows they exist. Come on.
Yeah.
People won't shut up about them.
They should incorporate.
It was not mine.
You're the one who said it.
Like who? I bet there are corporations that aren't on the books. I would be surprised if there weren't.
So you mean secret
Well,
societies?
the defining thing about a corporation is that it's registered with the government.
Good point. So like an organization, I should say, that's
Well,
an unknown organization.
Sure
Illuminati.
High technology. Could you imagine? I don't make any kind of claims that I can't back up with remote evidence.
Scared as to where this conversation is headed.
Aliens.
The Illuminati.
The Illuminati.
Can't be aliens because Hunter Biden's not up to anything right now. That's when we only get stories about aliens.
Yeah, that's true.
Him. His trial is coming up, though, pretty soon, I think.
Oh, that explains this story.
Hey. My assumption is...
Here we are.
There we go.
I assume they would have released it the week of, but,
Path of least resistance is at Occam's razor is that it's American military programs, secret military programs.
Right. I agree. There was a story where they said that there were some UFOs flying around, and then I was reading this quote about it, and some guy said, it's shocking to see something like this. We often have to deal with weird things because we have that experimental naval facility 70 miles away. And I'm like, wait, what? So you know what's going on? What do
you ever study
these ones?
Pine Gap? Are you familiar with it? It's in the middle of Australia.
Yep.
It's the second...
Alice Springs, next. Yep.
Where's it?
In Alice Springs.
Alice Springs.
What is that?
It's the second largest American military base outside of the United States, and it's in the middle of Australia, kind of secluded. in the middle of the desert or something, and it's like I don't know what it is. If it's a research facility or if it's like a spy network. Is that the main spy facility or something?
It's you guys. Why are you asking me? It's your gig.
People go there and they're like
They
turned away at the
experiment on
gate.
kangaroos.
Whoa,
That proves it.
they've got like big like
Kangaroos
towers
used
and
to actually
stuff.
be cows until you guys got there.
So they genetically.
I just assumed they were
enhanced
like
their
jacked
pouches.
men. They'd been like go live in Australia for a while.
Yeah, Pine Gap's pretty fascinating. There's a lot of American military research.
Yeah.
It's a satellite communications and signal intelligence surveillance base, joint United States-Australian base.
It's like an imperial.
That just means American and Australians just
It just means that
we just get our name on it.
Well, I mean, you guys are like a vassal state of the United States. You know what I mean?
or the empire. Who's
Right.
Who's running the empire? Is it Emperor Charles or is it the American?
It's the
Emperor
CIA.
Charles. It's like he doesn't even run England, bro.
It's like dead center in Australia.
So I actually went there because we had a massive crime. In fact, it's still there now. Alice Springs is like the crime capital of Australia. It's hectic Aboriginal crime. It's kind of the
Because
stuff you see here, but minus the
Because
guns.
Alice Springs is in like what Australians call the bush, right? Like it's in the middle.
Outback. That's Outback Australia.
It's like
yeah.
middle of nowhere, so it's really rural. And then there's like Alice Springs. I mean, I'm sure there are some other towns, but it's like it's totally removed from Melbourne.
Cost me
Sydney.
more to fly there to cover what was going on than it would to come to America.
Yeah.
Like you had to catch this little dodgy plane.
What'd you
Yeah,
see while
or
you were
there's
out
like
there?
a train that goes to it from I think Adelaide. Like it's difficult to access, so it is in some ways isolated from the rest of the country, right?
They have like a lot of crime. You were saying?
Yeah. So it's
Why?
that's a lot to go there, but it's actually African American culture, like ghetto culture that's like infiltrated the indigenous, the Aboriginal kids, and I guess they're also bored. And a bit like San Francisco, so police, they've got all these woke ideas of how to police Indigenous communities because the white man's so bad.
Wow.
And white guilt is kind of guiding policy, which means that, you know, you can watch kids commit violent crimes and nothing happens. Like they might take them in for an hour and they're back out. And the cops, I was talking to the cops, they just don't do anything because they're like, well,
Yeah.
we have no tools. If you let us do it.
A lot of that attitude actually comes from Frantz Fanon in a book called "The Wretched of the Earth." He's kind of like the leading thought leader of, or one of the thought leaders of like the idea of decolonization.
I
So,
was listening to a true crime episode of like an unsolved case that was either in Alice Springs or very near that area.
Yeah, there's a lot of
and the one host is explaining to the other like, oh, this girl went missing. This small child went missing at a party, and they're trying to describe this party where like it's underage drinking, but also everyone's grandmother is there,
Yeah.
and like it's just like the other culture's like, wait, but like if their parent, we don't like they couldn't wrap their minds around because the culture is like unique to that area, and therefore some of the cultural mores of like in this case because it was true crime, like why certain people started talking about certain amounts of information or whatever else, like it to me is. Australia is unique in a lot of ways, but it seems like a unique part of Australia, even to the rest of the country, that would be difficult to untangle.
I think there's a lot of outback towns that are similar. Alice Springs has gotten a lot of attention, but in Alice Springs, like one of the main drivers is alcohol, and so what they did was. So conservative governments implemented an alcohol ban essentially, or restrictions around service of alcohol at days that you can buy alcohol, restrictions on how much a person can buy. And then, then of course the left came in and they go, oh, well, that's a racist policy. Even if it was actually led by some Aboriginal politicians, but they deemed it's racist. You can't. And so they lifted these bans and, it comes back to like San Francisco banning the fentanyl or whatever, they're actually enforcing the law. Once they lifted it, shit got mad. So much worse that then the left, the Labor government, which is our left, ended up being forced to re-implement the bans that they deemed so racist because they realized that was the only thing that worked, at least to a certain degree.
Was it like on the people in Alice Springs or in that area of the country? They were
So in Alice Springs, yeah. So you weren't, there are certain days that the bottle shop was open. I can't remember the restrictions at all. I did a whole couple of weeks reporting from the ground there. It was pretty insane.
Dang, man. Did you get close to Pine Gap? Are you able?
So yeah, super close. I think I drove by it. I didn't even realize till I was there that had existed.
Yeah, I think they do live fire exercises outside of the facility.
And I met a bunch of Americans. And I was like, "What are you doing here?" Like it's mostly Aboriginal communities that are all surrounding it. That's what you were talking about.
And they're close knit communities. So then you have the sudden like appearance of
And they're all
Americans. It must be weird.
tribes, and then you have like the white Aussies that are there, farmers or whatever, and then you had a bunch of Yanks, like military guys that are just hanging about. I'm like, what is there an American accent doing here?
I can't imagine being an American service member who's like being told you're getting deployed to Australia, and they're
wish.
thinking like Sydney, beautiful, and then you're in Alice.
It would be a horrible gig.
They're not thinking
I don't know.
that.
I envision the
It
underground.
would be a horrible gig.
I disagree.
Mecca.
I think there's probably a lot of guys who are in the military who are like, yeah, it's going to be cool. Go on an adventure and you go out to the middle of nowhere.
Until you get there.
And then you
I
live
disagree.
underground.
Like, I would love to spend time at McMurdo or like Antarctica. I think it would sound fun to be out there for a little while. People get stationed
For a little while. Like I agree.
but how long
It's like it's the landscape is incredible. It's something you haven't seen, like the red dirt.
Yeah.
You know, Ayers Rock, and like it's crazy it's beautiful, but it will get very boring very quickly.
Yeah, but you know what? This is what humans do. You know what I mean?
I feel like.
Not everybody could do it. I hear you.
Did you guys play Fallout? Not Fallout. No.
Yes.
HalfLife. You have played Fallout. HalfLife, the original HalfLife. You're a science facility guy with super high tech clearance, and you go Black Mesa, Arizona, I think, and you go on this train, and you're just going underground further and further. I think that's kind of what Pine Gap's going to be like deep underground.
That's where
massive high
Well,
tech.
you know what they say is
What do you think that?
underground. There's a bunch of cities where the lizard people live, and they're all networked, and they can't come to the surface because their skin's too sensitive and their eyes are too sensitive.
Why do you think
So
that?
humans go
Because
underground.
it's so desolate on the surface, and if you see satellite images of Pine Gap, it just looks like a remote nothingness. But it's the second largest military.
What do you think is in there?
Well, there's apparently Alice Springs, so there's spring water, so there's underground reservoirs of some sort. So that's a good place to be underground.
They got a target.
Lots
Not a
of
real target. Australia stole target from us, but it's okay.
It's we call it Target to be fancy,
Yeah.
but it's nothing like your Target.
Oh, I
Well,
feel,
no, it was, and the brand is not the same thing. Yeah.
I think that they're working on. I don't know what they're working on. Interdimensional travel, dude. Super high tech vibrational
they're just
teleportation.
racing camels, bro.
I don't
Look.
know what they're doing.
not
That's what they
kidding.
want you to think. Yeah, we're
They're
just
legit.
riding
That's
around.
not from Pine. That's from Pine.
I mean, don't you think that it
Alice
makes
Springs, right here, Camel Cup.
Alice Springs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't you think that it makes more sense that considering Australia is fairly close to China, that it would be like an outpost for like monitoring
Yes.
China and stuff like that?
Exactly that. Yeah.
You know,
It's the
camels are
monitoring
actually,
outpost.
I think, our biggest export. If I'm not wrong,
Pardon me?
I think one of our biggest exports.
Oh, we got kangaroos.
One of our biggest.
somewhere.
I'm not. Sorry, it's
Think we
definitely not our biggest, but it's. Or it might be the biggest seller of camels in the world. Something weird. Is
You guys, like, you've probably eaten quite a bit of kangaroo, I'd imagine.
a little bit. I don't.
Really?
It's really tough meat.
Is it common?
Yeah, you can get it, but you got to know how to cook it.
Ah, yeah. We have kangaroo jerky around here
You
somewhere.
boil it.
No. It's when it's cooked well, it's okay. It's lean meat. It's really good
Yeah.
for you, but it's not the
You ever
nicest.
see that video where the kangaroo is punching the window,
Oh, no.
and the guy's like looking through the glass, and the kangaroo's like trying to get him?
Kangaroos are cool. Like I think kangaroos are cool. They get a bad rap sometimes, and
So
they
do
do
I, yeah.
fight. Like I wouldn't. Yeah, but where I live, they're walking
I
around.
feel like a bit of a
And they're
yank.
like, they're tall, and they're like,
Do you hang out? Like,
whatever.
have you been with them a lot?
We fist bump every time.
Yeah, like the
No.
kangaroo.
Where I live, there's like close to me. There's a
we
lot.
got like 50 deer out in the
deer.
backyard.
So the way you have deer here is like kangaroos.
You see one like
around
jumping
that.
in the yard in a rural area, kind of.
Yeah, they jump. Yeah, it has to be like this sort of.
The deer will be sitting outside our house, and it'll like we'll walk outside and it'll look at us and just like walk away. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.